Hello, my beautiful people. How are you? My name is Nadia, and in this video, I'll be sharing the meanings of angel numbers 10 and 1010. Number 10. So number 10 carries the energies of success, originality, leadership, adaptability, universal energy, new beginnings, confidence, and creative powers. Now, if you start seeing 1010, this is a message to pay very close attention to your intuition. 1010 brings a message that a very spiritually significant event is about to happen. It signifies the end of one situation, but that something very spiritually significant is going to come out of it. 1010 is a very spiritual number sequence. If you see 1010, you should accept this as a message from your higher self. 1010 also carries the energies of number 2 because 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 0 equals 2. So 1010 carries the energies of number 2. Now, when I started researching to do this video about 1010, I started thinking about all the times that I saw 1010 and my experience with seeing 1010. And I realized something amazing that I never even paid attention to. And in 2010, I had an ectopic pregnancy. If any of you don't know what that is, it's when the fertilized egg travels through the fallopian tube and attaches itself to the uterus and then grows to a baby. It doesn't happen that way with an ectopic pregnancy. It attaches itself in the wrong place. With me, it was in the fallopian tube. Sometimes it's in the ovaries or different places. So it traveled into the fallopian tube and it got stuck there in the fallopian tube, and it started to grow in the fallopian tube. Now, if you catch this early, they'll give you a shot, a pill, or something that will dissolve the pregnancy so that it doesn't rupture and you can die from that. So with me, went to the doctor, and I guess they didn't want to, I even asked about getting an ultrasound because I felt a little crampish, a little pain. They didn't want to give me one. Oh, it's too early, whatever. So they didn't let me get an ultrasound. And a couple of days after that is when it ruptured, and it burst my tube, fallopian tube. I was bleeding inside. Had to be rushed to the hospital. Ambulance came to the house. It was just a big mess. Now, the interesting thing about it is that when I went to the doctor, they gave me a due date for that pregnancy, and the due date was 10/10/2010. And when I thought about it, I remember getting that date and saying, wow, because my oldest daughter was also turning 10 that year. So it was like, wow, all these 10s, this baby's gonna make an entrance. This is something, something big, something wild, like, wow. And what I did was I posted that on Facebook. I went on Facebook and I said, the due date, just came from the doctor. The due date is 10/10/10. And, I actually last night went searching and digging back, scrolling 10 years back on Facebook to find the post so I can share it in this video. Check it out. Now, if you noticed anything about the post, I had another post when I came home from the hospital. So this was the 9th when I went to the doctor and posted the due date, and on the 14th, and this is the February 9th is when I posted it. February 14th is when I came home from the hospital. So this ectopic, this rupture, this near-death situation had to happen between, I may have to find the dates some kind of way, but it had to be maybe like the 11th or the 12th, I'm thinking, because I'm pretty sure I stayed in the hospital a day or two after it happened. Another interesting thing is 2 years later, February 15th, I had my second daughter, Phoenix. And the 14th, February 14th in 2010 is when I came home from the hospital. So that was really interesting to see. But it kind of like, now that I know and research and find the meaning of this 1010, it's almost like, wow, okay, so I don't have all the answers. I'm still looking for them. But something happened with that near-death experience. That was definitely a near-death experience that I really didn't think. Now, near-death experiences is something, it's a sign, or it's one of the things that can trigger an awakening and trigger psychic gifts and help you to connect to the spirit world. And when this happened, it's very dangerous. I remember the ambulance came to the house. I don't even remember how I got out of the bath. I was in the bathroom. I don't remember how I got from the bathroom to the living room. I remember the people who came with the paramedics. They were shining a light in my eye. They thought that I may have been, or asking my ex at the time, is she taking anything? Because my pupils were so dilated. I was clearly just bleeding inside, bleeding. So I was rushed to the hospital. I remember there were students there that they were probably doing the ultrasound. They're teaching students at the same time, and they didn't know what they were looking at. They couldn't see anything. And I remember a doctor coming in like, what's wrong with you guys? You don't see that? You don't see anything? Because that's blood. This is blood. That is blood on the ultrasound. So I remember them rushing me back on the table, on the bed, and running. I remember them, they gave me whatever I needed to put me under, and I remember them shaving me at the same time. It was a big rush. So it was a big, it was a very interesting experience, but I believe that something happened when I was under. Something happened with that near-death experience. I may have connected more to the spirit world. Something happened there. And at one day I'll fully understand all of it, but some of it is making sense to me. I remember after coming out of the surgery, I remember my daughter, she looked at me and started crying, and I'm like, what are you crying for? I'm okay. Like, I'm here, don't cry. But when I saw myself in the mirror, I was like, oh my God, I don't even look like the same person. I was swollen. So clearly from losing blood and them giving me blood and everything that was going on, my body was swollen and puffy. I looked like a different person. I remember one of the nurses at the hospital. This is Jackson Memorial Hospital. This is a hospital with the best doctors, so they saved my life. I remember the nurse, one of the nurses, was just looking at me. I had to get up and start walking around and using the bathroom and everything before I can go home. And I remember the nurse looking at me as I would leave out the room and start walking. She was just looking at me, and then she says to me, you are here for a reason. You are here for a reason, because with the amount of blood that you lost, oh my goodness. And she just was looking at me. So something she saw, clearly it blew her away. But I wasn't meant to die. I was meant to be here for whatever reason. And now I'm looking at this and seeing the meaning of this number with new beginnings, and with an event, a very significant spiritual event happening, the end of one thing, but something spiritually significant coming out of it. Makes a lot of sense now. So it's very interesting. It's just very eye-opening to me to just figure that out. And last night when I was scrolling, looking for this post, and it took me a while because I had to scroll back 10 years. That's a lot of scrolling. And I screenshot it, and when I was showing it to my husband last night, like, look at this, and I was showing it to him. At the time, notice as I'm walking away from showing it to him, the time was 10:22. So there it is again. I think in the screenshot, the time is 10:20. So by the time I showed it to him, it was a couple of minutes later, and I didn't even realize that. And I think my phone was also on 22%. So it's really strange with these numbers. It's definitely a message, definitely a sign. But this near-death experience, I don't feel like this is what created or made me start to go through this awakening, because I had an experience with this Kundalini tingling energy at the age of 19-20. So this has always been a part of my life. But that near-death experience may have been something that just triggered more abilities of mine to be connected to that world. something happened. I wish I knew. Wish I knew what happened when I was under. And there is something that happened, I just don't remember it. So if you're seeing 1010, I'm not trying to say that you're going to end up having a near-death experience or even go through anything that I experienced, but it's just looking up the meaning and realizing what I've been through and what I've, experienced. It makes a lot of sense of how one situation that may end is ending for a reason, and something very big, something very spiritual, something very significant is going to come out of the end of this situation. I hope this kind of helps any of you out there. I hope you can relate to this. I'm still, like I said, still trying to figure this all out, but I'm just trying to be brave enough to share what I do know at this point, what I do believe, what I have experienced while I'm on this journey of figuring it out. I want to thank you all once again for watching my videos. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Please feel free to share any of your experiences with me. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon. Peace and blessings.